Sweet. Are we ready to talk about Schoology? First things first, before we talk about Schoology, in your plan book, 6-2, Terminating Decimals. Terminating, not the Terminator. It's a bad joke, I know. Of course, Mr. Smith walks in as I make one of my worst jokes.
Don't worry. I'll be
He said, don't worry, I'll be back. Like the Terminator. I'll be back. Alright, so, Schoology. I want you guys to give me a tour. What do you think is important in Schoology? What if you were explaining this to a peer? Because we're going to assume that there are people in this class that probably do not know as much about Schoology as you do. So we want to make sure that we all know the same stuff. So I'm just going to work around the room. Xavier, what's the first thing you would point out to them?
Okay, so some really important thing is that upcoming cassette is usually or masteries, and also notifications, which is that there's something that's going on.
Our notifications. I love it. So this morning when I pulled up somebody from the Accelerated 7 class, they had 50 that they had not looked at. Guys, the one good reason to look at your notifications is just to be aware of what we've been doing. But you can't see very many, so click on See All Notifications, and it will take you to a page of everything that's been happening. This is also the really easy way that you can jump to assignments. If you know, oh, I have that thing for global cultures, oh, here it is, I can jump right to it via my notifications page. So notifications are pretty important. Abby?
Also, what I would say is to, like, go on your settings, because if you can, like, update your,
So if you go into your account settings, especially your privacy settings, this is where you trigger what it sends you, or sorry, notifications. So Justin does not have a cell phone connected. If he wanted to, he could. Then it would tell you email options, cell phone options. It will push notify you if you tell it to. So if, let's say if course material is overdue, that's probably something I would get a notification for, like on my cell phone. I would, like group update posted, that's probably annoying. Like, so I would and I'm going to let you guys do this. I'm not going to change any of your settings, but this is how you can change all your notification settings. So I'm just going to go back home from there, not saving any of that. What else, Abby?
I was going to say, don't have, all the notifications.
Yeah, don't turn them all on. You'll get overwhelmed, and then you'll just ignore them.
I would just do, overdue, new assignment, and, add,
So you brought up the upcoming. This is one way to jump right to our homework. So, if I want to jump to tonight's homework, it's upcoming, so I see it right here. I can click on it, and I get right to there. Notice my contact info's right here. Please use this cell phone number if you're texting me about homework. I've had people texting me pictures, and if you text me a picture, it goes to my email, and it goes to my personal email, not my work email, so I don't see them a lot of times until it's a day or two later, because I don't check that email every day. So please use, this is my real cell phone. My other number is my Google Voice number, which is why it goes to my email. If you text this, that will automatically go to me no matter what. So please use that cell phone number. Then you can look at your submissions. So while we're talking about homework, are you done with 6-1? Yeah. So if I go back to the assignment for 6-1, dang, man, busting it out. So Justin spent 5 minutes, got 10 out of 12. He's at an 83%, so he's good, but he's upset that he got some questions wrong. He's like, I know what I'm doing. What did I get wrong? Some of you guys haven't realized this yet. View assessment. You can go look at it, and you can see what you missed. A lot of people miss this. This is kind of tricky. Here's the, So when performing division between two values, what allows you to say the decimal is going to continually repeat forever? So not being able to divide, this would actually make it irrational. So finding a pattern in the remainder values generated, that's what it, So if you missed that last night, this is the actual answer. But if Justin wanted to come work with me and we talked about this, and then if I was logged in as me, could change that 0 to a 1 and I could give him the points for it. So you can go down through and look at what you missed You use the wrong rule. You use the 11ths rule instead of the 9ths rule. Yeah, so if this was 4 11ths, this would be right. But if it's 4 9ths, it should be 0.4 repeating forever. So make sure that you know that you can view your attempts and go back. So this is what I mean by look at this before you try again. Because if you know you missed it once, don't choose that answer again. Look at the other options. What do you or it's something about this or something else that's important, Lily? Something about this? Yeah. Yeah.
And all the ones I got right, I'll be like, oh, this was the answer. And the ones I got right, mark on the ones you don't know.
So you'll put like the answer that you got wrong and like notate that it was wrong.
I do like I'll go down and say I got one wrong. I would just
Yeah.
take the answer that I put and like write an X.
And that's why I've gone back to doing only 3 attempts, especially with it being multiple choice. If you can't get this in 3 attempts, you need to come work with me. That's not like a punishment thing. That's not like, oh, you're so dumb. You need help. We all need help in different things in the world. So if you identify, I can't get this after 3 attempts, you need help. You need to come see me or Kabila or somebody else to get some math help. Izzy, what were you going to say? Okay. Yeah, so this is how you jump to classes. So like if I want to go see my Math 7, and I make my landing page the updates so you can see if there's anything important. By the way, nobody spent enough time on Khan Academy this week to get the prize. If you're mad about that, come talk to me because
oh my gosh, my
yeah.
sister.
But so what else, Izzy? You said you had 2 things. It shouldn't have. When did you do that? Did I ever reply? You had sent it to my 740 number? That's weird. I don't know, I might have to go look at my Google Voice settings. But so the main thing is text me without a picture or anything else to start a conversation. Then you can text pictures or whatever else. I just need to know that you're trying to text me. Because if I don't and you send it to me and it goes to my email, I'm not going to know. Or if you text me and I don't reply, you're welcome to pick up the phone and call me or text again. You can say like, hey, did you get my message? Sometimes I just don't see it. When I get home, I do not keep my phone on me. It's often sitting on the table by the couch where I set up my workstation. Or if I'm in my office, it's probably plugged in charging. Is there anything else that you had, Izzy? Yeah. So you cannot over text me. And like if you do, I'll tell you. That's fine. Yeah, Jack?
I just thought it was funny because last night, when I finished the 6.1 homework, I got an 80% and I was like, what did I get wrong? And it was that trick question.
Trick question?
There's like, one of the answers didn't have the ...
Ah, yeah. That's not a trick question. That's a trap door.
I get
So
I saw that before I answered it.
this one right here. 0.181818. Ah, but that doesn't repeat. This one does. You gotta carefully read. All right, do you have anything else, Jack, about Schoology? Okay. Abby?
Yeah, what I would say is sometimes when I was confused on some of the homework, he would usually have a video up about some of the...
Yeah, so let's say you're confused on 6-1's homework.
I would watch them and like take notes in my math.
I can go to chapter 6 and see, here's a couple videos about converting decimals to percents or percent to decimal, depending on which way you're going. Once I enter chapter 6, here's some reminder stuff on dividing and making repeating decimals. This is all stuff that I've typed. These images, a lot of times I've grabbed those from other places. But inside the 6-1 folder, there's a video of our lesson. So you can go back and watch our lesson. Hey, look, divide by 9, multiply by 11. Right there, the first thing it shows up when you start is the important slide telling you the rules. So you can also just skip through this and find what you're looking for to remind you of that process. Now, I'm doing like a million things on my computer right now, so it runs really slow. But on your computer, this would load up pretty easily. Now, we talked about the one way to find your homework on the upcoming stuff over here. The other way you should have just seen by navigating through the materials folder. But there's a third way. Like if I click through my folders and I go to 6-1 or whatever, I can find my homework. There's a third really easy way to see your homework. Anyone know the third way to find my homework? So there's one way. The other way was that column on the right-hand side. Do you know? Gene? Yes, actually, so there's 4 ways. I can go to calendar, which actually to get there, I can click right here or right over here, calendar. Either of these take me to the same place. And you guys have a giant social studies assignment. I need to talk to them about how this is assigned. But you can see what's coming up. When's 5.3, 5.4 due? And so this is today. So 6.1 is due by the end of today. 6.2 is due by the end of tomorrow. Like you can see when all these things are due. And then the last way, so if you want to get to it, you click on it and then you click on it, like view item. The last way is go to your grades. And if you go to grades, it's going to say, well, grades for what? What do you want to view? So if I go then to Math 7, I can see all my grades, and I can jump to these assignments as fast as I want to. Yeah, so, and these are so close, that would be one I would suggest just come talk to me about a couple questions. I'll edit your grade, and we'll get you there. So this is the really easy way to jump to your assignments, is just go into your grade book, and then you can check, do I have anything else that needs my attention? Because you need to be checking in on your grade book. This is the quickest snapshot to see what's going on. So when I go to post Chapter 5 grades in math, I'd be like, hey, Justin, come work with me. Like, that's when I start to grab you guys and just say, you don't have the option anymore. I want to put this in as a check. Let's work for 10 minutes and get this taken care of. Our discussion boards are about to become required. I've posted the discussion board for Chapter 6. And it is part of our Chapter 6. So in the upcoming, or if you go to the Chapter 6 folder, you'll see a Chapter 6 discussion board. So this discussion board will serve as our location for all questions, comments, concerns related to Chapter 6. But I want you guys to be aware, I have a lot more options than just typing a comment. I can actually, if you're on a Chromebook or on your own personal computer or whatever, and yeah, this is dangerous, you have to allow it. And then you have to like know your settings and know your webcam and everything. So you could say, start your recording. Hey guys, so I'm struggling with this problem right here. I was hoping that somebody would be able to help me because I sure as heck haven't been able to figure it out. Thanks. And then you just let it upload. So you don't even have to type your comment. You can record a comment. Now, here's the problem. Somebody this morning said, can I record my screen? Because our problems are on the computer, right? No, you cannot record your screen like I do during class. You cannot record your screen. However, you can take a screenshot. So I have directions on how to screen capture. In our updates, there's like a step-by-step how to screen capture posted in here. Yeah. So Bandicam, you could use that, but I don't know if you can then upload that as a comment in the discussion board. You could add a file. You can save it as a file. So notice that when you start adding a comment right here, you can attach files. That's how if you like take a screenshot or a Bandicam or something. I can attach a link. So if you want to put, okay, not a GIF, but like a YouTube video or a website that you found for math help, I can insert a resource, and you guys don't really know much about that yet, or I could record audio or video. So you have all those options as you're typing them. So this needs to be done to master Chapter 6. So make sure that at some point, and it's going to show up on your upcoming, I name it questions, comments, concerns, because that's really the easiest way to say, well, what do I put here? Well, you can post a question and hope for somebody to answer it. You can answer somebody's question. You can post a comment related to the chapter. Don't just say this chapter sucks. It has to be related to the math. So you could say, I'm struggling with repeating decimals and remembering the rules. How does anybody have a trick they use? Or something like, post a question. I will delete and not count extraneous, unnecessary posts. Will not be counted. They will just be deleted, and they will be given no attention. I will not reply to you. I will not make a big deal about it. I'm just going to delete it and make you realize, why didn't I master this? Oh, my comment was stupid. It got deleted. Gene? What do you mean?
Like,
Then I would pull in that kid to conference. Yeah. I would hope that you would pick up what I'm putting down and realize that it's been deleted on purpose and then adjust your behavior because of that. But if you don't, I will have to adjust your behavior for you. Abby.
Yeah, like sometimes, like when like I maybe like couldn't get to like the teacher because
Yeah, you could
they
just throw the
were, like,
comment
at,
up
like,
on
a
here.
meeting after school, and sometimes if nobody answered like my question after a while, like this was like an example because of last year when I did one of my homeworks, like I couldn't get it, and like my friend like printed out that homework, and like she was like really good at math, so like I FaceTimed her one day, and she kind of like helped me like go through it. Like she helped me with like the concept because like our math teacher was like at like a conference.
Right. Yeah. So, it
But
like
she didn't, like,
this
find the answer.
this is an example of how easy your post could be. Try to use proper grammar and proper punctuation. So actually, this should not be capitalized. Capitalized. There we go. So you're gonna say, "Hey guys, in such and such homework, give the question number," and you can just use Q for question, and then say, now giving me issues isn't really that specific, but I don't know what question 8 is. So you could say like, I can't figure out how to get the repeating decimal. I can't figure out what to do to solve the equation. Because as we get further in the year, our work is going to get like more and more in depth. But like, it doesn't have to be super big. Your comment on here can be very simple. And then somebody else would hopefully reply back, "Oh, I struggled on that too. What you want to make sure is you remember if I divide by 9, I multiply the numerator by 11." Or something like that. Questions on the discussion board? Okay. We've talked about how to get to your homework. We've talked about the resources inside the folders, like how you should be looking at these things. What else is there important in Schoology? Messages. So messaging is a great way to communicate just with me. Now I find it funny because Justin started his original message with just a bunch of question marks, but then we messaged back and forth, and now, so if I want to make a new message, let's say I'm on Justin's account right now, so let's say I want to make a new message and send it to myself. Use the me that has Timber's picture. I don't know why the other account is still showing up. You could just say like question, and then you could again, if you wanted to record something, if you don't want to type a message, you can just record and say, "Hey, I'm really struggling on this question from the homework. It's this one," whatever. You could write it out and show it to the camera, whatnot. So you can message, and you can message your peers, but understand that the admins on Schoology can see everything you do. So don't think that like your private message is actually private. Please understand that we see everything you guys do. Please keep it school appropriate. I don't want to deal with any of that crap. Abby? Administrators. So it's like me and Estes and Mr. Combs, and I forget who else. Like, yeah, like who's in charge of our Schoology site? Colin?
Yeah, and something else. There have been a lot of people that have been spamming.
Yeah, we're getting really annoyed at that, and we're meeting with people if we need to, but...
I constantly get reminders and notifications like, "Oh, great came up," and it says, "Blah, blah, blah, response time, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, response time."
So, we're dealing with that as we go, but knock off the spamming. Make it necessary.
It's almost spamming on
Xavier?
comments. So like, there's these really annoying like comments about like roles of the school. It's kind of just annoying.
I have no idea what you're talking about. On what? On what
Somebody,
page?
like posted something. It was annoying because it just started a whole fight and stuff.
Where was it? On whose
Like,
class?
I can show you.
Well, so I'd have to log into a different way.
You guys,
I go to the homepage
It's in there. It says
and then just scroll down.
they were talking about my pictures. About my
See,
Yeah, people are like.
He probably maybe copied these from somewhere else or talked to other people. So how'd you get these, Andrew?
I just thought of something.
Just like online etiquette?
Yeah, online etiquette.
Someone was
So I
like,
just decided.
Did Goldring ask you, or did you just take initiative?
You put chill.
Just took initiative?
I just
Because so the wit we could probably take off of here, but don't make posts without meaning. Yeah, your post needs to be relevant. It needs to have meaning. And there's actually an acronym for think that we should look up about think before you put. There's an acronym for each letter, like represents something. As you talk more with Mr. Estes, especially like the halo effect, this whole radicalized, like all because you have an opinion doesn't mean that somebody else is wrong, or all because somebody has a different opinion doesn't mean that they want to fight with you. It just means that we have different opinions.
Everybody does. It's a way of life.
Yeah, trolling's just a waste of time. I like this. Don't just say you disagree. You have to have some sort of criticism of why. Why do you feel the way you do? You can't just say, like, you're wrong. You can say, I disagree because, and post an article. Or, like, a resource or something. And 7 is just an obvious. But, yeah, like, these, and you can turn off your notifications if you don't want to be notified when people view or comment or whatever. Like, you can turn those off. So, but we need to keep moving. Other Schoology things that you think your peers don't know about, like features of Schoology that you want to make sure your peers are aware of. Yeah.
Well, maybe people have trouble getting the Khan Academy. They don't know where it is. So isn't it towards like the apps area?
There is like, so you can go to resources, and you can get your own resources. So your resource apps, you should already have Khan Academy because I have it in my class. But you would want to come in here and approve it so that it works better back and forth. So then you can always go here once my computer's taken ages today. But so these are Khan's resources in Schoology. That's not all of Khan's resources. So you can also get to Khan Academy either going to Khan Academy and just logging in, or if you go to our page and go down to like the first update that I had, it's got those directions for how to get to Khan Academy. And these run out. This is why I've been deleting things, but this is the clever login. It's the last thing here. So I like I'll probably delete this who are you thing. But yeah. So that's there too, the clever login. It's at the bottom of the updates. Izzy? Okay. So you click grades. Then you'd have to tell it what class you want the grades for. And because we've already seen Justin's grades, you click it, it opens up. So I can click multiple and open up multiples, but there's no grades for those other classes. Like, I don't even know. Mrs. Cullinan maybe has grades. No. Well, yeah. So I can open this up of what is the grade. No, this is just the weights of the grades. So she doesn't have any grade. Yeah, she does. Here's her actual class. She's got a fake class and an actual class. But yeah, so if you go to math, then you can jump to your assignments, or any of the classes, you can jump straight to assignments from here. So notice the due dates just kind of go sequentially day by day by day. And I'll change these. Like if we don't get through the lesson, I'll bump the due dates further. These are the due dates as of right now. So don't freak out when you see due dates. I can bump them further. I think that pretty much covers all the really important stuff. So if you think of anything else, let us know as we go. But aside from that, those are the main facets of Schoology that you want to be aware of. So pull out your notes from yesterday. Yeah. On the homework? I know. I told you guys we didn't get all the way. If you choose not to submit it, that's fine because it's not due till today. Right? So you could wait till you come to school, finish it, and then submit it. But also, some of these are given to you. Now, has anyone, from looking at their homework or looking at the notes, has anyone recognized a pattern? Shane, what do you see? They all use the same numbers, but they all happen in different orders. So check this out. 14, 28, 57. 28, 57, 14. 57, 14, 28. 57, 14, 28. So, if we were to make a guess, these numbers all have to stay in the same order, and there's actually division rules that would show us why we get these as the numbers that compute out in our division. But if we know that 2/7 starts at about 0.3, and 4/7 starts at 0.5, 0.6, We know 3/7 has to be between there. So which of these digits do you think this would start with? Hayden? So we've got starting with the 1, starting with the 2, starting with the 5, starting with the 7. What digit do you think would start in the tenths place right here? Well, we don't have a 3 to choose from. So what digit that we have here do you think would go there? You can pass it off if you want. Anthony? Ooh, the 5's over here. Jack?
4.
The 4. 3/7 is just under half. Think about it. 3 out of 7, you don't quite have half. So if I start with the 4, I have to keep my numbers in the same order. So what comes after the 4? 28, 57, and then I need my 1. So 28, 57, and then my 1, and that whole thing repeats. We don't need a calculator. Now here's the other mind-blowing part. 14 is just 7 times 2. 28 was just 7 times 4. 56 would be 7 times 6, or sorry, 7 times 8. So this actually bumps up just a tiny bit. Doesn't use the 56, it uses the 57. But these are all just multiples of 7, roughly. So here, we've already started with the 1, 2, 4, 5, 7. What's left to start with? Izzy? The 8. So now I start with the 8. What comes after 8? The 5, then 7, 1, 4, and then the 2. Now, if you use a calculator, the only dangerous part was it will round at the end of its screen. So this is why I say don't trust calculators on this stuff. It will round wherever the screen runs out of space. So we're only going to do one of these. If we wanted to compare 8 and 7/10 versus 8 and 7/12, I had somebody who made a really good rationale with this. Which is bigger, a 10th of something or a 12th of something? Which is bigger, a 10th or a 12th? Michaela? A 10th, right? Because if I have something cut into 10s versus something cut into 12s, the 10s are bigger. So these 7/10 compared to 7/12, these 7 are smaller than these 7. So this plane will fit. But we want to reason through it showing the division of y. So 7/12, if we set up our division, how many times is 12 going to 70? Abby?
Isn't it like
5, because that gives me 60. 12 is going to 100. Yeah. 8. That gives me 96. 12 is going to 40. Okay. 3. How many 12 is going to 40?
3.
How many 12 is going to 40? So, if I kept doing that over and over again, I think eventually you would like go get somebody and be like, hey, Mr. Hudson's broken. But yeah, we keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's going to repeat, so knock off the division and just throw your repeating symbol up there. But only these remainders repeat, so only the 3's repeat. But which is bigger, 0.7 or 0.58333? Well, 0.7's bigger, so this plane will fit through just barely. So it will fit. And then we would do the same thing down here, but this is a bit harder since it's 4/10 and 5/12. So we would just want to compare the decimal values. So now, if I have a volunteer to pass out notes. You guys are you will have extras, so just place them in the bin once you get done. If you want to split sides of the room, that would be awesome. All right. Now, terminating decimals tend to be easier. So I do not sit up at night thinking of ways that I can make your life harder. I really think of ways that I can make your life easier. Oh, you're welcome. I try. What does it mean for something to terminate? To terminate. So I had that picture of the Terminator up there, Arnold Schwarzenegger. CJ, what's it mean to terminate? Okay. So the images have been like pulled, but some of the stuff is like, this stuff is my own typing, but this stuff is like I screen capture. So some of it's taken from the Pearson software because Worthington pays Pearson to use their stuff. So if we had a textbook, it would be a Pearson textbook and it would have this stuff in it. But because we don't have a textbook, we just give you guys notes, which is more what high school's like anyways. And what, like, in college you have a textbook, but you just take all your own notes. Like, the textbook is only there for reading, then you come to class and take notes. Then you go read, and then you take notes. Oh, yeah, it's been years. Like, it's been a long process. So hopefully I don't get, like, moved to high school or something. Andrew, what does it mean to terminate? Yeah, it can. Like, in the sense of the Terminator, sure. Xavier? To end. The Terminator ends people's lives. So, terminating decimals end, and they end in zeros. We see that the remainders end up as zeros, the decimals end up as zeros. So if we showed this long division, we all know what 3/4 is, 0.75, but there's actually zeros out here. These zeros are what we call, and this is kind of like rude, they are not significant. They have no meaning. They are worthless. Sorry, zeros. We don't care about you. Now, here's the tricky part. Not all zeros are meaningless. Because, give me your eyeballs for a second. Because if we had a 1 out here, say this was 10.75, this zero would be significant. It would matter because it's a placeholder. But right now, that zero where it is doesn't really matter. We only have it there to make my notation correct and look nice. I could write this as just decimal point 75, and it would still mean the same thing. So that's the difference between significant digits are the numbers that have meaning. Not significant or insignificant are numbers that do not matter. So I give you a table of the common fractions. Why do you think I gave you a table of the 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/5, 1/6? Why didn't I give you the 1 numerators? And obviously you see a couple of those are the repeating decimals. Andrew?
To find a rule with each one.
Not necessarily a rule. We might be able to. But, like, what if I now... Okay, Justin, go ahead. What if I asked you, what does 3/8 equal? 3/8 is really 3 times an eighth. Because if I did this multiplication of fractions, that would give me 3/8, right? Does anyone disagree with me? Because I make mistakes sometimes, so let me know if you disagree. So since this is really 3 times 1/8, I could really just do 3 times whatever the decimal value of 1/8 is, which I have in my table. So if I can remember these 8 conversions, I can then find any other fraction that I want based off taking the numerator times whatever the decimal value was, which, forget about the decimal. What's 125 times 3? 375, right? But make it a decimal again. 3/8 is 0.375. And we're done. Sorry, it looks like there's another decimal for some reason. I do not know why. Take your numerator and multiply by whatever the 1 value of decimal was. It is terminating. Because if the 1/8 was terminating, any multiplication of that will still be terminating. Well, any integer multiplication. So if I wanted you to find, then likewise, 3, let's not do 3. Let's do 4/6. This one would be harder. That would then, well, actually, this would reduce. So we wouldn't even do this. We would just do it as 2/3. So let's not do 4/6. Let's do 4/5. Make it easy. It's just 4 times the 1/5 value of 0.2. And we get 0.8. Obviously, that's an easier conversion, but that's why we have this table. So think about some fractions or decimals that you know do or do not terminate. I will give the easy one. Pi doesn't terminate. Now, non-terminating could be repeating, could not be repeating. You got some examples? 1/9, where's it go? Non-terminating. So any of the ninths, let's not put any other ninths up there. There's, yeah, all of those repeat as long as the numerator is smaller. Izzy? Yeah, 1/3 is one of our favorite non-terminating. Jaheim? 1/6, is that terminating or not? Non, right? Because in our table we see it repeats. Let's get some terminating examples. Andrew?
1.75.
Yeah, so that would be like 1 3/4. This decimal ends, it does not repeat. Abby? Half. We can even have terminating values that don't even start as a decimal or a percent, or sorry, decimal or fraction. Like 50%, that will be a terminating decimal. So just make sure you have a few examples so you're aware of the difference between terminating and not. So in this got it, which of these are terminating decimals and how do we know? So, Hayden, I'm actually going to do this one at a time. Hayden, is number 1 terminating? How do we know? What doesn't it have? Yeah, it doesn't have a repeating symbol. Since it doesn't have a repeating symbol, we know it must terminate. Kylie, what about number 2? Yeah, it does terminate. It doesn't have any repeating symbol. It's got a bunch of zeros, but that would be 8 100,000ths because of what decimal place that's in. Atticus, what about 3? Is that terminating? What are these? Yeah, it means it keeps going. So this either repeats the 8 or repeats the 9/8, but it is not terminating. It repeats because of the dots right there. And number 4, Anthony. It is repeating. So I see 3 0 0 3 0 0 0 3 2 zeros 3 zeros. My pattern has changed. It is not repeating. It's actually terminating. So it's one of those weird, dangerous ones. They want you to fall into the trap. So here's an interesting question. And some of you are going to be like, duh. And some of you will grapple with this for a moment. Does 407 repeat or terminate? Well, it doesn't have a decimal. At least not that I see. So Jack, what do you think? 407. You think it's repeating or terminating?
I wasn't here, like, from the beginning of this, but from what I understand, I'm going to go with no.
No what? It is terminating. So for a terminating decimal, we have to have a decimal, right? So let's first write this with a decimal. Where would my decimal go in that number? Yeah. After the 7. We don't have to. We could. I mean, we could write this as a rational. But because I know that there are no partial values, what's after the decimal? Zeros, right? Do I have to show these? No. So we know this is a terminating decimal because it ends in zeros. We will pick this up right here with our deli counter. So if you try 6-2, great. I would advise you, you probably can do it, but if you don't want to submit it, just leave it till tomorrow. Yes? No. I feel like it would depend on what kind of Pop-Tart.
People just say butter on a Pop-Tart. Is that a Family Guy has a song on it?
Oh, I love that.
Like if it was brown sugar Pop-Tart.